Hello everyone, welcome back in the second day of the International Educational Fair, Edugate in its 11th edition, Summer 2022. Welcome again.
السادة الحضور الكرام، صباح الخير. أهلا بيكم في الدورة ال11 من معرض Edugate اللي بيضم جامعات مصر كلها في مكان واحد. فقراتنا مكملة معاكم النهاردة لحد الساعة 5.
So let's start our first slot with us today, the British University in Egypt, that will be presented by Mr. Omar Abdessalam and Mrs. Renad.
خلونا نبدأ يومنا عن الجامعة البريطانية في مصر مع مستر عمر عبد السلام ومس ريناد عوض.
Thank you. Well, good morning everyone. I know it's still very early. Most of us are asleep, right? 10 a.m. in the morning, who likes that? Well, my name is Omar Abdessalam, and this is my colleague Renad Aoud, and we're representatives from the British University in Egypt. How many of you have heard that name before? The BUE. We're pretty famous, right? Let me tell you something. As you can tell, we're both very young. We're close to your age. I mean, myself, I'm 25, and Renad is 24. So believe me when I tell you that we know exactly and we do understand how you feel. Right now, right after you're done with your ثانوية عامة, your IG, your American, or your IB, you're very confused. You're very anxious. You're very stressed. You feel lost. You don't know what to do. Which faculty? Which university? What do I want to study? Do I even know what I like? All of these are questions, right? All of these are many questions that lead to the grand big question. How do I select a place to study? How do I select a university? On what basis do I do so? I'm here right now alongside Renad just to give you some answers, some pointers on how to approach the whole thing, how to think which faculty, which university, which subjects to study, to have just a little bit of an idea. But before we dig into that, before we talk more about how you'll be selecting a university, let's just briefly introduce who we are, okay?
Good morning, everyone. I hope everything is going great for you. So before we get into anything, let me first introduce myself. My name is Renad. I'm currently a teaching assistant at the British University in Egypt. I graduated a year ago among the top 3 of my cohort, which is marketing specialization and communication and strategy. However, my educational experience is not only involved around the national boundaries. I've also studied 3 years abroad in the American capital of Washington, D.C., where I had the chance to deal with different educational backgrounds, different backgrounds, and also ethnicities. I've been also extensively involved in the department's outreach program, expanding our ethos and values with different educational institutes inside and outside of Cairo. Lastly, I take pride in labeling myself as an entrepreneur. I've started my own business when I was a senior in college within the fashion industry in the midst of the COVID pandemic.
Well, I as well, I'm a graduate of the business school in the British University in Egypt. I graduated way back in 2019, and I used to study entrepreneurship and sustainability. We'll get more into that later. Right now, I work as a teaching assistant there, and I also work as a research in-country consultant for several reputable international organizations, such as the USAID and that Japanese International Cooperation Agency. The thing that I love the most, how I like to introduce myself the most, is that I'm the founder of my own business, my own company, which teaches people how to stand in front of audiences, handle big types and various types of stress, and teach people, lots of people, university students, high school students, corporate employees, fresh graduates, and even managers, how to handle big talks, how to handle speeches, and how to do this without any kind of stress. Well, I know that you guys must be having a huge amount of questions, right? A lot of questions right now are on your mind. You're just done with your high school thing, and you don't know what to do in life. Before we get into that, let me ask Renad something. Renad, what do you think, why do you think someone should actually choose a university?
I have no idea. Do you think I should let my parents choose?
I mean, the parents are the ones who are paying money, right?
Makes total sense. What about my friends?
It also makes a lot of sense to choose a place, to choose a university where I have a couple of friends. Some friends from my school are going there, so I choose according to that.
What about public or private universities?
So there are people who think public universities are superior, and other people who think private universities are superior, and some other portion of people who think that actually studying abroad is much, much better, right? Again, before we get in depth into how do you decide, how do you approach this whole thing, let's just give you a slight idea. Let's just give you, when we were your age, how was it? What did we used to think when we were sitting in your shoes not that long ago?
If I'm being completely honest with you guys, neither Omar nor I went to the best schools, at least educational-wise. If I would evaluate them or rate them education-wise, I would say they were average, if not even below average. I remember when I was your age, I was very confused. I had no idea whatsoever. What do I like? What do I want? What is something I want to do on the long run? It felt like everyone knew exactly what they wanted, except for me. I remember my friends, some were exceptionally good at engineering and math, and they decided that this is for them. Others were exceptionally good at something else, and they decided that medical school is the one for them. And it basically felt like everyone was moving forward, except for me. I was stuck exactly where I am. And let me tell you, this is the worst feeling anyone can feel, to feel like everyone is advancing, except for you. At the time, in my mind, I thought that I'll just go talk to my parents. I'll ask them, what do you want me to be? I wanted them to give me an easy answer, like go to computer science or just go to engineering, whatever. I didn't care. Now, my dad and mom, they're very smart. They knew exactly what I was trying to do. And by the way, this is a totally true story. I went and I asked them, and they told me that this is the first decision that I'm going to make as an adult. I have complete freedom over what I want. Whatever it is that I'm going to choose, they're going to completely support me. Now, that sounds great and all, but again, I have no idea what I want. I went and I talked to my best friend, what are you planning to do? She said that she was thinking about business administration in the BUE. And I was like, that sounds great, let's do that. We went, we applied, and before the beginning of the semester, I think by a day or two, she changed her mind. Now, I'm back at the starting point. I just applied to a university I know nothing about, to a department I have no idea what they're planning to teach, and it's too late for me to take back my papers. Now, luckily for me, it turned out great. Am I telling you right now that you should leave your future completely to coincidence and luck? Definitely not. Because till this point, maybe if I went to mass comm or engineering, I would have done so much better. I have no idea. But before we get into that, let's hear Omar's story.
Do you remember when I just told you, like a couple of minutes ago, that right now I work as a teaching assistant, and I also work as a consultant, and I have my own business? This idea, when you hear someone talking like that, you instantly think that they have their life together, right? That they know what they want to do, that they're actually a little bit successful. Let me tell you, back in 2015, when I was exactly your age, sitting in your same shoes right now, how was it for me? You guys tell me, what's the name of your school? Notre Dame. Okay, do you have any idea about what do you want to study? Give me random answers. Engineering. So we have someone who's inclined towards engineering. Let's take another school. I like your uniforms. Which school are you? Magdi Yaoub School. Do you have any idea what do you want to do in life? What do you want to study? Not really, right? Do we have anyone from that side who has an idea about what they want to study? Not really, right? Back in 2015, the case was I was just a graduate of Sanawiyya Amma school. My total grade was 66.5%. I did not have a word of English in me, and I applied in 10 universities, 10 different public and private universities, and I did not even get a rejection letter. They ignored me. That's how bad I was. In terms of quality and competence, I was below zero. It was something to laugh at. And the thing is, I was completely careless. All I cared about was the Sahel season, and that's it. This was it for me. I was purposeless, I was careless, and I didn't even know what to do in life. One day, I wake up to my dad calling me on the phone, and he's yelling, well, go, get up, find yourself a university, and continue your education, and take your mom with you. You worthless piece of person. Well, okay, I take my mom, we go to some universities, and one of them was the BUE. So by complete coincidence, my mom's telling me, well, the architecture here looks good. Well, this thing looks nice. Nice buildings, nice colors, little did she know. As a matter of fact, she told me, let's have an application. Let's fill it, okay? we had an application, we filled it out, and boom, it was a surprise that 2 weeks later, I was accepted. Now you might think that the only university that accepted you, good for you, right? Go join it. I was stubborn enough and an idiot enough not to want to go there, because I had 2 school friends of mine who wanted to go to GC management. So I thought, I want to go with them. But the GC did not accept me. So what's the case right now? Luckily, it turned out to be great. Luckily, this was the place for me. Everything was lined up by the fate, by the universe, by God, for me to transform from that specific person that I'm telling you about to the person who I am right now, who I'm a little bit proud of, actually. Now, am I here to tell you, what's your name? Am I here to tell Mariam, well, you should be joining the business school at the BUE? And what's your name? Noor. Am I here to tell Noor that you should be joining the engineering school at Ain Shams? Absolutely not. We're not here to give you specific answers that are just it. It's the magic pill. Go do that. Go join this. This is definitely not the case. Instead of this, we're going to walk you through an outline, a specific, that's my bad. We're going to walk you through a specific series of steps that are going to lead you at the very end to know how to approach this, how to select a university that is custom made, that is tailored only for you. So based on your personality traits, based on your wants and needs in life, based on your aspirations and goals, we'll just be telling you, you should be going through this exact map so you know what fits you best.
So now that we have your attention, let's talk more about it. Why are you here today? Why, as a parent or a student, did you exert the effort of waking up early in the morning, drive all the way here, sit down in that type of weather and listen to people constantly talk in the morning instead of being asleep or watching TV? And one of the reasons is to answer the question, how to choose the right career path for you, or more frankly, how to choose a university that is right for you. And that's why we've summarized it into 5 core steps. 5 steps that we're asking you to follow that are going to make your life a little bit easier, I guess. Think of it as us showing you a path, a road, and we're telling you that at the end of this road is a place that is personalized, custom-made specifically for your needs, specifically for you to reach your full capabilities. And that's where step number 1 comes.
Well, the very first step into doing this, the very first step that you should be doing right now is that you should know by heart that this exact moment is where your childhood and teenaging years end. This is where you turn from a child or a teenager to a fully independent woman or a fully grown-up man. You have to acknowledge that this decision is the biggest in your life. Why? Because it's not going to base the next 4 or 5 years only on it. It's going to shape your entire life. The thing that you choose to study and major in will affect the 50 or the 60 years of your life. So instead of going to a place every single day to work when you hate it, when you absolutely despise everything about it, you get to do something that you love. So the very first step of the thing is to know how important this thing is and to actually think that, do you know what smart people do when it comes to big life decisions? I know at your age, you still didn't have major life decisions. Do you know what smart people really do? They're very resourceful. They gather resources from all around them. What does that mean? They ask people when the decision is so big and when they will have to deal with the repercussions and the consequences of it, they just gather all the resources that they need. So one of the things that they do, one of the things that I do when I have a very big job offer in a very distant place, I go instantly to my dad. I trust him. I go to my dad and I ask him, well, what do you think? I listen to his answer. I hear it carefully. I respect it and I appreciate it, but I take the decision on my own. Do you know why? I take the decision on my own because only me will be living with the consequences of it. So I have to learn how to deal with big decisions in life. So step number 1, to let go of the child and the teenaging mentality and acknowledge that this is the very first big decision of your life, which leaves us at step number 2.
Now, before we get into step number 2, it's very important that you guys understand what Hasbet just said. And that is, everyone is an expert at something. كل واحد شاطر قوي في حتة معينة. It's very important that you listen to them, respect it, زي ما عمر لسه قايل. try to gain all the knowledge that you can, بس لازم تبقوا فاهمين that this is your decision. قصدي إيه لما أقول this is your decision? I mean that nothing sucks more than being stuck studying something that you hate. And this is where step number 2 comes. Step number 2, and as cliche as it sounds, you should know yourself more. قصدي إيه لما بقول you should know yourself more? You have to start thinking what is something that you love. طب what is something that you're passionate about? حاجة ممكن تعملوها كل يوم ما بتزهقوش. طب إيه الحاجة that you hate and can't stand? For me, I can't stand the idea of working someplace and sitting at a desk all day long. فكرة إن أنا أشتغل في حتة أقعد فيها من 9 ل 4 في desk, I can't stand it. So what is something that I'm passionate about? حاجة ممكن أعملها كل يوم مستحيل أزهق. For me, I love teaching. ممكن أقعد أتكلم للصبح مش بزهق. طب what is something else? I love watching ads. يعني أنا من وأنا حتى I think school, if even younger, I loved watching ads وأعرف طب ليه استخدموا الكولرز دي؟ طب ليه الأكترز دي اللي موجودة؟ طب ليه في الستورز بيحطوا البرودكت ده في الشلف ده؟ It's very interesting at least to me. Once إن أنا I gathered أنا بحب إيه وبكره إيه وإيه الحاجة that I'm passionate about, this is where step number 3 comes in hand.
Well, I'm a very, personally speaking, we're talking about Omar right now. I'm a very structured person. I'm very organized. I like to put things into perspective. Before deciding on anything, I like to study it and analyze it very well. So right now, if I'm mapping this thing with you, so if I'm sitting with, tell me your name. I like to know names. Okay, Ahmed. So if I'm sitting down with Ahmed and I'm trying to map out this decision for him, right now, he already know how big this decision is. And he's giving it weight and effort and time, right? And as well, he sat down with himself and he knew more about himself. He knew what to like, what are his likes, what are his dislikes, what he can stand, what he absolutely hates. So right now, he has a little bit of an idea about who he is, right? After that, it's very, very important to begin with the end in mind. But what does that even mean? What does it mean to begin with the end in mind? It means that you have to imagine yourself 5, 10, or 15 years from now, what would I like to be doing in life? Do I imagine myself an artist? Do I imagine myself an entrepreneur? Do I imagine myself a doctor? What do I want on the very long run? Do I want to become the next prime minister and introduce some real change into people's lives? Do I want to become a doctor and help curing cancer forever? Do I want to eradicate poverty and eliminate it all over the world? So I have to be an economist. What do I imagine myself like? Among you guys, you'll find people at your age, very few people who are very driven and very oriented. They know what to do. They know exactly what they want to study, where they want to study it, and for how long do they want to study it. When you look at those people, don't feel discouraged. Don't feel like you're behind. Don't feel like it's the end of the world. It's good for them, absolutely good for them. But for you at that age, it's completely, completely normal to feel that way. So in that step, at step number 3, you only should be thinking about how do I imagine myself and how do I imagine my life on the long run. So now I know how big the decision is, I know a little bit more about myself, and also I know what my life would be 10 years from now. That brings us to what you guys are doing here right now. What are you doing? You are at an exhibition, right? You're reviewing universities. You're thinking about them, صح? This step is called research, knowing the options.
Now, again, this is where step number 4 comes in hand. I know that research is very boring. ما حدش بيحب يقعد read, listen, and write. Again, it's boring. However, it's essential. حد فيكم جه امبارح الاكزيبيشن هنا؟ How many times did you hear research? كتير صح? A lot of people, I've even watched the videos, they stress on the word research. And this is where this point comes in hand. زي ما من شوية لسه قايلين لما تلاقوا كلمة اتقالت كتير, that means إن هي ليها معنى. بالذات لو جاية من حد دارس. Now, research now, أنا عرفت إن أنا بحب let's say ads زي ما أنا لسه قايلة, وبحب watching, excuse me, I love ads and I love teaching. And I can't stand the idea of working at a specific place for a long time. Now, ببتدي أشوف بقى الuniversities, إيه هي الuniversities that offer that? طب what about الprices بتاعتهم؟ طب location؟ طيب what about the reputation؟ طب الناس اللي اتخرجوا من الكوليدج أو اليونيفرسيتي دي هم فين دلوقتي؟ Did they reach something? Are they making something out of their life or not? Once you reach that step, Omar, what do you think if I like research and I like, excuse me, if I like ads and I like teaching, what do you think I should apply to?
Well, let's have an example, right? Noor, for example, do you have any idea about what you want to join? Which university do you want to join? Not really, right? Let's have a hypothetical example. Well, Noor is a person who's very eager to make money at a young age. She wants to be wealthy at a young age, okay? And she hates to be sitting behind a desk all day, every day. And she likes to do creative things. And she likes to do jobs that are fun. And she likes to interact with people. These are the traits and characteristics of Noor as a person. Well, when she went through this map, when she actually went through this map, she knew how big the decision is. She took a step back and figured what I just said about her, because this is who she is. And then when she sat down and thought of what her future thing is going to be like, she said, well, I would like to work at a very big corporate or have my own business. I imagine myself doing that. This brings us to a very, very important thing. Based on the research that Noor did, there's going to be something that's called mix and match. Mix and match between what? Mix and match between who you are, and what you want to be in life. So that character, Noor's character, most probably when she did her research, she found out that, okay, I like those stuff. There's this faculty that is named business administration. Within this faculty, well, there is a major named marketing. Graduates of marketing, they tend to work in corporates or agencies or have their own businesses. Their everyday activities, they do creative things. They are very innovative. And they never sit behind the desk. And they interact with people all day. And they're very energetic. And it takes a lot of interaction with people. And if you're good enough, you can join a very big multinational and make a huge amount of money. And if you're good enough, you can have your own thing. So based on what she likes and where she imagines herself, she had an idea of which faculty does she want to join. Is that it? Absolutely not. Research is more powerful than that. Based on her research, again, Noor's character, she lives in BUE. She has a couple of friends who were set to join the business school, majored in marketing in Ain Shams. And when she has done her research, she figured out that there are 3 top business schools in all Egypt. This is purely hypothetical. So let's say one at the administrative capital, one in the 5th settlement, and Ain Shams University. So when she conducted her research, she found out that these are the big 3. And she's allocating a budget of from 50K to 100K per year. That's her budget. So now she knows a lot, right? She knows more about herself, more about the faculty she's going to join, and the circumstances, the situation of Noor personally, her budget, her friends. She lives in BUE, and this place might be very far away or might be very close. So now she has all the information to make a really informed decision. She's in a much better position than whenever she started this whole thing. Now this is an example. This is a very basic example. At your case, guys, it's very personal and tailored. So remember when I told you earlier that I'm not going to be giving you a magic pill. I'm not going to be telling you, you should be joining this school at this university. I'm not here to do that. I'm here to tell you about a magic map. Something that will be working for everyone. Every single person that is sitting right here. لحد اللحظة اللي احنا فيها دلوقتي دي، لحد اللحظة دي بالظبط، احنا اتكلمنا عن ازاي تختار الكارير باث. خليني قبل ما اقول الحتة دي اسألكم على حاجة. في الماب دي، في الماب اللي انتوا شايفينها ستيب 1 2 3 4 5، حد عنده اي كويستشن على اي ستيب فيهم ان هو مش شاكك ان هو مش هيتطبق عليه او حاسس ان ده ما ينفعلوش؟ لا، صح؟ It's very basic. It's a very simple thing. لحد اللحظة اللي احنا فيها دلوقتي احنا اتكلمنا عن ازاي تختار كارير باث وجامعة وكلية وتخصص يناسب شخصيتك واسلوبك وامكانياتك وتطلعاتك ومستقبلك. الفكرة كلها، خليني لجزء صغير من الوقت بقى، لحد دلوقتي انا بتكلم very generic, right؟ خليني اديك، يعني خلينا نقول لجزء صغير من الوقت اكلمكم عن وجهة نظري الشخصية. ليه البي يو اي الجامعة البريطانية هي من احسن الاختيارات، من احسن التشويسز اللي انت ممكن تعملها بالذات في الوقت ده. في 2005 الجامعة البريطانية تأسست لأول مرة على ايد محمد فريد خميس الله يرحمه. محمد فريد خميس هو اللي حط حجر الاساس بتاعها. من ساعتها والجامعة اتشهرت جدا بان بتحط الطالب على راس قائمة الأولويات بتاعتها. الكلام ده فضل مكمل سنين طويلة. لحد السنه اللي فاتت بالظبط، لما الجامعه قررت تستعين بخبرات واحد من اكبر الاكاديميين في العالم كله، دكتور محمد لطفي. لما تولى رئاسه الجامعه حط استراتيجيه ورؤيه مختلفه شويه، حاجه ممكن تبقى جديده علينا. خلى الطالب هو قلب كل حاجه، يعني خلى كل اكتيفيتي، كل حاجه بتحصل في الجامعه بتبقى حوالين الطالب ده. ده ترجمته في ايه؟ ترجمته في 3 حاجات انا بعتبرهم من اهم الحاجات اللي ممكن تحصل في اي مؤسسه تعليميه. اول حاجه ان هو مضى، او الجامعه مضت اتفاقيات تعاون مع اكبر المؤسسات التعليميه والجامعات، مش بس في الشرق الاوسط، في العالم كله. خلى الجامعه واحده من ضمن 3 جامعات على مستوى الدوله المصريه كلها يبقى ليها بريزنس وحضور في الحدث الاكبر السنه دي على الاطلاق على مستوى الدوله، وهو كوب 27 بتاع محاربه المناخ تحت الامم المتحده. والاهم من كل ده كمان، الاهم من كل ده، ان الجامعه البريطانيه دلوقتي في طريقها تكون اول جامعه في مصر تبقى ماشيه بمحاذاه. حد سمع عن حياه كريمه؟ الجامعه البريطانيه ماشيه في طريقها دلوقتي ان هي توقع اول مذكره تفاهم مع اكبر مبادره رئاسيه يمكن في اخر 50 سنه كلها، مبادره حياه كريمه تحت اشراف سياده الرئيس عبد الفتاح السيسي. عارفين لما بنسمع الكلام الكبير ده قوي بتفصل، صح؟ تحس اللي هو ده مش ليا، الكلام ده اكيد كان في الاخبار، انا ده هيوصل لي انا ازاي؟ هستفيد ايه من اللي انت بتقوله؟ خليني اقول لك ده ازاي يرد فيك انت وانت بتختار، او لو انت والد او والده ازاي يأثر على ابنك او بنتك. حاليا الجامعه كل مشاركاتها في كل الاحداث دي طلابيه بحته. يعني ايه؟ يعني كل حدث من الاحداث دي المشاركه بتاعت الجامعه بتكون من خلال طلابها. نوع الخبرات، نوع الاكسبيرينسز اللي الناس او اللي الطلاب بيكتسبوه من الاحداث دي ومن المشاركه فيها ما بيكونش على مستوى الكليه او على مستوى الجامعه او على مستوى انشطه طلابيه، بيكون على مستوى دولي، على مستوى وطني. فانت تخيل بدل ما انت بتتعلم حاجه في قاعه محاضره بتتعلمها ثيوريتيكال من حد بيتكلم، انت مش بس ده اللي بيحصل، انت بتهيأ لك فرص ان انت تروح مكان بتتعامل فيه مع قيادات ومع ناس صناع قرار حقيقيين في الدوله دلوقتي، وان انت بالعكس يكون ليك مشاركه في المجتمع اللي انت فيه. انا عارف انك برضو الكلام الكبير ده لما بتسمعه تحس اللي هو انا فين من الكلام ده. من اهم الحتت اللي انت لازم تتاكد وانت بتختار ان انت رايحها ان هي تديك فرص زي كده. مش سهل انك تلاقي مكان، يعني احنا عندنا كوب 27 اللي جاي ده باذن الله. كوب 27 ده مؤتمر، عارفين الكلايمت تشينج؟ كلايمت تشينج ده هو التوبيك العالم كله، العالم كله بيتكلم عن ازاي نقلل من الضرر اللي احنا بنديه للمناخ. السنه دي كوب 27 ده الدوله المصريه بتحضر له بقالها سنه. هياخد يعني هيتعمل السنه دي اخر السنه. الجامعه البريطانيه واحده من 3 جامعات في مصر كلها الطلاب بتوعها هيكونوا بيمثلوها في مكان زي ده. تخيل حجم الخبرات اللي انت ممكن تكتسبها في انك بتطبق اللي انت بتتعلمه في الجامعه في مكان زي كده. ده مش بس بيساعدك على مستوى شخصي، بالعكس ده بيساعدك بعد كده لما تيجي سوق العمل، لما تيجي بقى انك تنزل الماركت بليس وتدور على شغل، بتكون انت دايما بتاوت بيرفورم معظم الناس اللي جايين من معظم الحتت. ليه؟ لان الجامعه وفرت لك اختبارات معينه، تجارب معينه، نمت شخصيتك، بقيت انت قادر يبقى ليك تاثير حقيقي في المجتمع. خلي رينات تقول لكم حاجه تانية على الموضوع ده.
ويتبقى دلوقتي السؤال اللي انا متاكده وعارفه انه بيدور في رؤوس معظمكم، ايه بقى ترجمه الكلام الكبير اللي اتقال ده؟ او بمعنى اصح ايه الدليل عليه؟ بحكم الشغل اقدر اقول لكم ان الدليل مرئي وملموس بشكل يومي. تمكين وتنفيذ الطالب للمشاركه في نشاطات عديده جدا، وده على مستوى كذا كليه زي مثلا رياده الاعمال والتنميه المستدامه. طب الكلام ده جميل، بس برضو الطلاب دول عملوا ايه؟ تحت قيادة كلية إدارة الأعمال والاقتصاد والعلوم السياسية وتحت مظلة الجامعة البريطانية شارك الطلاب بتاعتها في كذا نشاط، ومن ضمنهم The Green Day. دي كانت صور من الجرين داي. The second thing was the financial inclusion وهو The third thing was the زيارات للمدارس الحكومية للتوعية ضد استخدام البلاستيك. ورابع حاجة كانت زيارة البورصة المصرية والمشاركة معها تدريبيا. Again دي كلها حاجات الطلاب هي اللي بتشارك فيها، بس يعني مش مثلا الناس اللي شغاله في الجامعه. it will be completely up للستودنتس ان هم يشاركوا في الحاجات دي. when you graduate ان شاء الله والكلام ده كله بيتكتب في السي في بتاعكم او في شهادتكم ان انتوا you got included في كل الحاجات دي. that's what makes you more يعني eligible for any job. ده اللي بيميزك عن ال100,000 حد اللي متخرج في نفس الوقت. طيب عشان الخص وعشان ما اطولش عليكم اكتر من كده، خليني اقول لكم بس ايه اللي احنا اتفقنا عليه النهارده. اول حاجه هو انك تدي القرار ده حقه، لان ده اول واكبر قرار هتاخده في حياتك بالذات في الفتره دي. تاني حاجه هو انك تتعرف على نفسك اكتر بالطريقه اللي احنا اتفقنا عليها. تالت حاجه هو ان انت تبتدي تفكر ايه هو الهدف بتاعك على المدى البعيد. رابع حاجه الريسيرش بتاعك ودي very important. خامس حاجه هو ان انت تستشير اهلك، تقرر، وجنب كل دوت اعرف اكتر عن البي يو اي. احنا هنبقى موجودين في البوث and thank you so much. See. Thank you.